Hello. In this Java tutorial, we are going to continue talking about inheritance. Specifically, we are going to talk about using the super keyword to call methods in the superclass. Some important facts about using the super keyword. We can use the super keyword to call methods in a superclass that have been overridden in the subclass. Second, super can also be used in a constructor to call a constructor in the superclass. In this video, we will not be covering the second use. However, we will be covering this in the second video on constructors coming up. We have two classes we're going to look at here. Our first class is car. Here, we define a new method, apply brakes. Here, we define another method in car, check surroundings. Self-driving car is a subclass of car. Here, instead of inheriting apply brakes from the superclass, we override it. Here, instead of inheriting check surroundings from the superclass, we override it. Emergency override is a unique method declared in self-driving car. Here's a map showing the relationship between the classes. Object is a superclass of car. Car is a superclass of self-driving car. Here we have a class highway with a main method. On line 5, we create a variable of type car and initialize it with a new instance of the car class. On line 6, we declare a variable Tesla X of type self-driving car and initialize it with a new instance of self-driving car. On line 8, we call the apply brakes method from the variable Ford Mustang, which is pointing at an instance of the car class. So up here, call apply brakes. We output to the console, driver applies brakes. We call on line 6 check surroundings, and then check surroundings outputs to the console, driver checks surroundings. Let's look at a slightly different version of the highway class. In this one, we call apply brakes from the variable Tesla X. Tesla X points to an instance of self-driving car. So we are going to call the overridden method apply brakes in the class self-driving car. On line 5, it outputs computer applies brakes. On line 6, it calls the method check surroundings. And here on line 11, it outputs to the console computer check surroundings. Let's look at a little more complicated example that people often get confused over. Here, we are calling emergency override from the variable Tesla X. On line 16, it outputs to the console driver takes control. On line 17, it calls from the superclass the original apply brakes. So we're up in the car class here. On line 5, the car class outputs driver applies brakes. This is the point where people usually get confused. They expect the call to check surroundings is going to call the method in the superclass car. However, since Tesla X is an instance of self-driving car, check surroundings is going to call the most recently overridden version of check surroundings. So it's going to call the version in self-driving car even though it's being called from the superclass. This only happens because Tesla X is an instance of self-driving car and check surroundings has been overridden in self-driving car. So now computer check surroundings. For further reading, you can visit this website here, or you can type into Google using the keyword super Oracle. In our next tutorial on inheritance, we are going to learn about how private fields can be accessed from the subclass using getter and setter methods.